Mrs. Blue, back with another art lesson. You can find me on YouTube at Mrs. Blue. Let's make some art. Please, please, please email me pictures of your completed projects to jlpic@cps.edu, and you might have a chance of winning the virtual golden paintbrush. Today's golden paintbrush winner is Miss Miley Hugh. There's Miley's golden paintbrush. Check out Miley's museum. I mean, she added Vincent van Gogh. She added Kandinsky squares and concentric circles. Looks like Hokusai's wave. This is pretty impressive, Miley. This is a very tricky project, and you did a really great job. I'm really proud of you. Keep up the good work. Keep making art. You're very good at it. Good job, Miley. Okay, so today I thought we would create a very challenging art project. So if you're up for a challenge, stay tuned. Let's make some graffiti art. So I thought this was super cool, this graffiti art. So here is my example. Let me move it this way just a touch. Sorry, straighten things out, guys. There we go. There's Mrs. Blue's graffiti art project. I thought it was super cool, right? So I'm going to teach you guys how to make some graffiti art today. So let's take a piece of paper and a pencil, and you'll definitely want an eraser today. And I am going to place some letters. I'm turning my paper the long way, not the tall way. And I am going to place some graffiti letters right here so that you can see these graffiti letters. So if you would like to copy these letters, pause the screen right now so that you can remember what these letters look like. So on my example, I created my name, Mrs. Blue, very large in the center of my paper. As always, the first thing I did is I put a little line for each letter of my name, so I knew how big to draw it. That's super important. So let's start with that. We don't need those letters yet. Today, Mrs. Blue is going to write the word dog, just to keep it easy, so that you can see how this works, because Mrs. Blue has lots of letters. So I know in the center of my paper, I can write the word dog very large. So I'm going to draw a light line so I can see how big to write each letter. D-O-G. Now, when I created my example, of course, I went M-R-S space B, and I drew lines like that. Okay, so now I need to refer back to our little letter guide to draw the D. And it looks like the D looks like this right here. So I am going to slowly look at this. I'm going to draw nice and big. I started right here, but I don't know why. I'm going to get even bigger. I want this to be very big. And remember, it's graffiti, which, as you know, painting graffiti on things without permission is illegal. You have to get permission to paint on the sides of buildings. Oftentimes when you see beautiful paintings on the side of buildings or graffiti art, the person was asked or commissioned is a fancy word to create that art. Sometimes they weren't, and they could have gotten arrested, just like the artist Keith Haring. When he painted his dancing guys in the subway station, he was often arrested because he didn't have permission. Now, I see on this black part, there's a black shadow right here that I'm going to want to color in with a black marker in a moment. And there's also a nice shadow on the bottom here. That shadow is important to really make it look nice. I can, of course, erase this line that told me where to draw the D. Okay, now it's time for an O. I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to move my paper over. So the O is going to look like this. This O is kind of teardrop shaped, which I really like. I think that's very fun graffiti style art. and more fancy than I would think to do it at home, which is what makes this very cool, using this little guide. And you know, you can be as creative as you want. You don't have to make your letters just like this. I just thought this was a nice guide to look at. And now G. So I'm going to move my paper over a little further. It's hard to get all of that in. The G is just peeking through right there. And I'm going to draw the G over here. Maybe the G is going to be covered up for a second. But you'll be able to see my hand drawing it and know that I'm looking at it. I almost ran off the edge of the paper, guys. I didn't space these quite awesomely enough. You're going to be your very own graffiti artist today, which is pretty fancy, but I'm giving you permission to create this art so we know it's safe. Some people say graffiti isn't art. It's like a constant debate because oftentimes people creating graffiti are doing it illegally, but I don't know. Some of that graffiti they create is pretty fancy. So there's my word dog. Now, I am going to draw just a fun little zigzag all around the word dog. Goes off the edge right there, and that's always okay. We never want to worry about that. So it looks like it's kind of really sticking out of this brick wall. I'm going to make a brick wall. So there's my word dog. Now, as always, I'm going to leave this showing for a minute. We outline everything with marker, with black marker. So imagine that I outlined everything with black marker, and then we can paint. Some of you, if you would like to create a brick wall on your background like mine, could do that. This is how I created the brick wall, excuse me. I drew lines across the paper like this, and you can certainly use a ruler if you choose. All the way across, like so. I don't know if you know the trick to creating bricks. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to have any bricks showing on the other side of my paper because I went all the way to the edgy edgerton. Here we go. And on the bottom. So first you draw horizontal lines like this. I can maybe fit in one more tiny one down here. Then you take your pencil and you draw vertical lines about the width of a brick. So sort of like this. But when you get to the second space, there's a little trick. You have to go in between these two and draw a line here. In between. So right here is in between these two. So I'm looking above to draw a line directly in the middle of those two, maybe one right there, then in between these two. So it's like you're staggering your lines. And that's what creates a very simple brick wall. So down here it gets a little tricky. I'm just kind of staggering them back and forth to make it look like they go back and forth. It's hard to see in between. Now, here we go. This one, I can just draw them because there's nothing to look at above. Now maybe here, I can add some in between. And now, middle. In the middle of these two. Middle. Here we go. Oh, one more row, bottom. There we go. Look how cool that looks, that graffiti art. And now you can outline everything in black marker and then you can color it however you want. I chose to paint mine because I love using paints and it's just fast. fast. It's faster than coloring with crayons or markers. But this would look super, super awesome with crayons and markers as well. So this is how I painted mine. And don't forget to look at these. Let me put these here so you can see all these different letters right there so that you can make your super cool graffiti art. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this project today. It's graffiti art with Mrs. Blue. So make yourself some graffiti art. I'm giving you permission, and I'll see you for the next art activity again tomorrow. Okay, bye.